Music saved me.
Please don't give up.
Do I think music is a good coping mechanism? Absolutely.
This hope that I had developed into the person I am today.
Oh, please don't tell me your time has reached its end.
There have been plenty of nights that I came into this kitchen, into this room with a knife to my stomach saying this is gonna be my last day.
I should have reached out. I could have made the time.
Even though that you don't feel like it, people love you.
Don't be afraid to address it. Don't be afraid to check on your friends. It's way better than it being the last time that you ever see them.
Didn't have to be alone.
Like, without having music, I probably wouldn't be here.
Hey there, it's good to be with you. I'm Tom Hanson. CBS News, in its ongoing effort to shed light on America's mental health crisis, explores how music and the community around it can bring hope and healing. So for the next half hour, you'll hear how music can help people who are struggling. We bring you the story of Christopher Stevenson from here in the Dallas area, who found strength in his songs to cope with the pain.
Let's get it started.
You ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Let's go from the top.
Alrighty, let's go.
I make music for stuff people scared to talk about.
CRSA. It's okay to be you. It's okay to hurt. And I know you can relate. Look.
But what are you gonna do to get out that hurt?
But I'm man enough to say I got some issues. Look.
There is a connection between mental health and music.
And I'm healing from my transgressions. Who am I? I'm a conqueror of depression.
I used to cry, while rapping at the same time because I'm feeling the pain, the hurt, the sorrow, the anger, the embarrassment of what I went through. So, this is just one way I can get it out.
I was catching demons way back when I was 7.
I was 7, 3 years ago, 2020. That's when I wanted to kill myself again. I made these songs because my art is based on, heartbreak, depression, traumatic experiences, because those are the things I went through.
It's so easy, man, you don't have to fight it. Scream, not everything is what it seems.
Don't end your life. You can get out of that mental health crisis.
My name is Christopher Stevenson. I was born and raised in Dallas. These are my parents right here, Christopher Stevenson Sr., Raquel Stevenson. When I was at home, I had peace, but when I went into the world, that's where the reality set in that, oh, you're black, oh, you're different. You haven't been exposed to the same hardships as others, so that makes you weaker. I got bullied ever since I was in the 1st grade. I went to a predominantly white school. A kid called me a racial slur, so I picked him up and slammed him up against a cabinet. So I had to move to a different school. And when I moved there to a different school, it was now predominantly black. Well, I swam in high school. I was a varsity swimmer. You don't typically put swimming with black people, so they're like, oh, well, you do a white people sport. You're different, man. You can't even play basketball. Kids will be like, you're not black, but you're not white, so you're gray.
Anger in my heart, man, it's sharp enough to slaughter cattle.
We've had our times where we played basketball. Well, I grew up playing basketball. So he's like, Dad, I don't play basketball. I said, don't worry about that. Find what makes you happy.
I was dealing with an identity crisis. My voice isn't deep enough, I don't sag my pants.
9th grade, he would get in my car and just bust out crying. I would lay in bed at night and wonder, okay, is it anything up there he can hurt himself with?
There have been plenty of nights that I came into this kitchen, into this room with a knife to my stomach saying this is gonna be my last day.
Because at this point, we had taken all the sharp objects out of the house. And from that, it just started spiraling. 11th or 12th grade, he called me from school and said, I want to die. I had to be strong for him.
All of that plus the bullying, it kind of took a toll on me, and that's when I finally told my parents that I was suicidal. Now, I already had the ideations and everything since I was young, but actually expressing to them for the first time that, yes, I don't want to be here. I don't want to live. That was the difference with me being 18, so.
I remember vividly going through the peer pressure and the bullying myself. To know that my son was going through those types of experiences, it was heart-wrenching.
I'll call my mom, she'll ask me, how's my days? Oh, I told off this kid. And she'll be like, well, you can't do that because you just left the school. So, you know, you have to find other ways to cope with your anger and how you feel. So that's where music came in. So if I didn't have music, I didn't write, I probably wouldn't be able to sit right here. Ain't no telling where I would be.
Devil screaming in my ear, that shit don't matter.
I didn't always have that outlet. I thought sex, to be honest, was the outlet. What if you get out after that party, you know what I'm saying, you get finished sleeping with somebody and you still feeling empty?
And recall all the things that was done to me. Thought giving my body would make me start loving me.
I used to just go outside, hit walls, and just, you know, be self-destructive. My mama told me, you're already rehashing those same behaviors. Write about them, write how you feel.
So it says, who am I? I'm trying to cope, trying to avoid the rope. Play my music so I won't lose hope. Relating to these artists like we got the same blood. Music brought me out the mud.
So they started off as poems and then it ended up into being music. I just added the beats.
Music is a top coping mechanism for youth who are dealing with mental health issues. Youth have access to and are listening to music, playing instruments as really a way of stabilizing their mood. It really is helping with the mental health crisis. I am Dr. Shairi Turner. I am the Chief Health Officer for Crisis Text Line.
People are teetering on whether to live or die, just some of the trauma that they've gone through. And when you have a social climate that we've had over the last few years dealing with racism and social injustice, it heightens that. You're saying, what value does my life have? After George Floyd, I feel like an endangered species myself.
I just lost faith in humanity at that point. It made me suicidal again.
Black youth in particular are experiencing higher suicide rates than their white counterparts. When we talk about stigma in the Black community at a high level, it's about trust. It can lead to a sense of isolation or keeping Black men from seeking help.
Man, I really live what I be rapping.
I had to just be this tough guy all the time and it was exhausting.
There's a stigma that I gotta be the biggest, baddest, toughest, strongest man. Hypermasculinity, not being able to show your emotion. If you cry, then you're perceived as weak.
He was such a loving kid. He was the hugger boy. He got the hugger boy award, but that wasn't really common with kids.
This is me hugging my dad, so we didn't really do this a lot, so I just asked him for one. He was like, okay, and it was a little bit more kind of forced.
I would say to parents, find out what your kid's love language is.
I'm a loving person. That's my love language is physical touch, and it's like I can feel people's emotions. You know, my dad used the example, what's better, for me to text you I love you or for me to come down, hug you and say that I love you? You're gonna go with the hug every time. So, and nobody ever forgets a good hug either.
Thank you, Dad, for being here with me. I'm gonna make you proud with this one, watch.
My relationship with my father, sometimes all I needed was a hug. I needed him to show his emotions. And that's where the disconnect was, because how he was raised.
And I just let myself go and just say, you know what? He needs a hug. He needs me to show him that it's okay to show emotion. For him to light up. When I did that, that's when I said, that's what I need to be doing. You gotta look that man in the mirror and say, you need to change for the sake of your son. That was the game changer for me.
Realizing that my father loves me, that would be the turning point. That would make me love myself again.
My father, man, I know you gonna be proud of me.
Dad, you liking how it sounds so far?
Just seeing you be your authentic self, I'm really proud.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
He's making an impact through his music, through his testimony. Just the transparency itself is going to really liberate people.
He's not afraid to speak his truth.
Had to separate from the people close to me. Mama always said, be who you supposed to be.
You could help so many people with your story.
Whoever listening to my music don't ever make the same mistakes as me.
Helping others is an excellent coping mechanism because it demonstrates that you are not alone.
Pass the baton to someone else so they can pave the same way as me.
And that others are dealing with the same struggles that you may have.
I feel like my story is important because it's relatable, but it still gives hope.
Life, it's gonna come with some lessons.
It's gonna do that. Everybody doesn't want to talk about what's inside, but at the end of the day, some of us, we fragile.
I've never been a gang member, but you know what's happening. I'm not a felon, man, I'm college educated. What's happening?
You can hear the murder music, you can hear, the party music and stuff, but I want to make music for when that stuff turn off.
The suicide rate for Black youth has increased more than 36% between 2018 to 2021. That's according to the CDC. If you or a loved one is looking for help, please call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's a 3-digit number, 988. You can call, text, or chat.
Didn't have to be alone. Didn't have to be alone.
We're continuing to look into the healing power of music. Indie rock star Nina Diaz struggled with alcohol and sobriety, but she says music helped save her, and helping others fuels her own healing. Here's how she's recovering from crisis.
Like, sobriety is just a part of me now. This one's called On the Other Side. My name is Nina Diaz. I am from San Antonio, Texas. So at 13 years old, I was the front person of an all-female band, Girl in a Coma. As I went down that kind of classic dark path a lot of musicians go through, I got signed to Joan Jett's label, Blackheart Records. We released 4 albums, and then we got to tour with one of our idols, Morrissey. Did you worry? Smashing Pumpkins, the Toadies, On the Other Side. In my early years, I'm hanging out with older people. I didn't look my age.
Did you open up your eyes and look around? Feel alright.
And I was also really shy, and I would use alcohol to kind of give me that liquid courage.
Strange denial. You never dialed. Why?
I was 12 years old is when it started. Those thoughts of, I should just leave. Like, there's like, I don't feel like I belong here. Nobody seems to understand. I seem to just get in trouble all the time whenever I talk about it. It seems to be wrong. I guess I'm not supposed to be here. There's many moments where I felt very alone, and I would cut myself. I was a cutter, And into my teens, I tried killing myself. This is a journal from 2008. So this is way before I had an understanding of my mental health and need for help. I have an idea of what I'd like to be. I see the path I'm led on. I see the cliff I could jump off. Of course, I suffered from depression. And in therapy, I also realized of ADHD is a big part of why it was difficult for my brain to neurologically put pieces together faster, made me feel more at ease with myself and forgive myself for a lot of things when I was younger, when I think, you should have known better. You have choices. Choose life, your life. Smile more. It's nice to see that this hope that I had in me has now developed into the person I am today.
Oh, I think I could cry.
I was trying to find my own individuality.
So call me when you find it hard to sleep.
I would self-implode, and that's when I would reach for alcohol or a substance.
And when I wait,
that was my outlet in a weird way.
On the other side.
But there's this situation that happened, the relationship I was in at the time. I was violent towards that person. But it was a state of mind that I knew wasn't me. After that incident, I took it upon myself to research a 12-step recovery program. I'm a Latina, and sometimes in our family dynamic, it's kind of looked down upon in our culture of like, we don't ask for help. We just deal with it. We just do it. So sobriety opened up this door of me to get therapy. Big chunk of my career was spent in Girl in a Coma until I got sober. And that's when I decided to go solo and made my first solo record. We are in my home studio, Beat Girl Productions. I kind of mentor other artists of the things that I've gone through in my own career, and I want to use what I've learned to help support other people to hopefully make it through as well. Mental health is number one for me now, as an artist, as a person. That's why mental health makes its way into my music. There's a song in particular called Break the News. I wrote it for a friend that unfortunately passed away to cirrhosis of the liver. I didn't know she had a drinking problem.
Oh, please don't tell me your time has reached its end.
After I went sober, she never drank in front of me.
And now I break the news to our friends.
I never asked her, hey, are you okay?
Dream as if you live forever. Live as if you'll die today.
I sang at her funeral. I sang a song for her at her funeral.
Now your temperature's cold. The secrets you never told. You didn't have to be alone. Oh, won't you give me a sign? Some peace of mind. You didn't have to be alone.
It's so raw explaining my friend passed in a way where they weren't able to communicate their mental health issues clearly. I think that it's important to just ask your friends sometimes, like, how are you doing? And maybe ask them again.
I should have reached out.
Talking with your friends or family is a coping strategy for youth who are struggling with their mental health issues because it provides a connection. Having someone to talk to can decrease that sense of isolation.
If I could, you know, it'd take a lifetime.
Even through my most crazy times, I was still writing. Music saved me. Like, without having music, I probably wouldn't be here. Like, I know I wouldn't be here.
Didn't have to be alone.
If you or a loved one is looking for help, please call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's a 3-digit number, 988. You can call, text, or chat. In response to the mental health crisis, the nonprofit Foundation 45 gives Dallas area's art and music community the mental health help it needs. Certified counselors host support groups and free sessions. The foundation was started after a group of friends experienced the devastating impact of suicide, but now they're helping heal people.
I love Foundation 45.
So we're here today at beautiful Dallas, Texas for a fundraiser for Foundation 45.
Foundation 45 is basically a built-in safe community for artists, musicians, creatives, and anyone that comes there to have a stigma-free counseling experience.
My name is Anthony Delabano, and I'm the founder of Foundation 45. Also, I was a drummer in a band called Spectre 45. We were super popular in the early 2000s, around for 10 years.
Someone quiet down the voices in my head.
We had exploded. We had a music video that had just come out. We have murals.
I get the feeling that I'm gonna lose it in the end.
We had a show New Year's Eve. Frankie was hurting a lot. His girlfriend had broken up with him. He was having some drug problems, and I knew something was off. I took him home. I went up there, I talked to him for a long time. He said he would come home with me, and then he said he wouldn't. And I was like, "Are you sure you're okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And that was the last time I ever talked to him. I got a phone call the next morning from Frankie's dad. He didn't have to say anything. You just know sometimes.
I'm still there, but I just don't care.
Frankie was my very best friend. And so when he committed suicide, it completely devastated me. And then 77 days later, my bassist also committed suicide. That's Adam Carter. That's my bassist. Poor Adam. You know, Adam was the one that found Frankie. I don't think he could get over it. And a lot of people in the neighborhood and the music scene, our North Texas creative community, more affected by it. In the following years, I stopped counting at 12 people I knew that had committed suicide after that. I didn't want to live. I wanted to die, and I just didn't know how to do it. That was really all that kept between me and dying. The game-changing thing that saved me was the moment I had finally said enough is enough. And I made the decision to go to rehab. I had met a friend in rehab, and we just got really tight. A few months later, he couldn't stay sober, and he committed suicide. That was really the final blow for me. Every time somebody committed suicide, it felt like I was getting punched in the stomach. And it was because I knew that there was something that I could do about it. I knew that I could, leverage the good of people to create something for other people. My artist friends, my friend Frankie, my friend Adam, they wouldn't have paid for counseling. What would they have done? They would have talked to a friend. So we needed to create an organization that was a friend to those types of people. We also needed to make it free. Yeah, and maybe an artist or a musician shouldn't go spend their money on drugs or alcohol or whatever, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do. That doesn't mean they don't need help. The stigma with suicide and mental health is very strong. And I haven't quite figured out how to talk about it with my kids.
This is my firstborn, Autumn Elizabeth Delabano. This is my beautiful wife, Ashley Delabano. And that is Mr. Fitzpatrick Delabano. Oh, wipeout, who likes to show off just as much as his dad does.
Wait, what's your band called again?
Spectre 45. And then there's Frankie right there. You didn't know Frankie, baby.
You told me about Frankie.
Yeah, I told you about Frankie. He was my best friend. But,
What happened?
He passed away. That's why we have this organization. We help people.
We help
people.
Frankie.
Yeah, we help people like Frankie. That's right. Dude, I'm so glad you are the person that runs Foundation 45.
My name is Lauren O'Connor. I'm the president and executive director of Foundation 45. We've helped over 4,000 people.
Holy shnikes.
We are a local nonprofit organization that provides group support services, all led by licensed professional counselors.
We believe in meeting you where you are.
Zandra, man, she's got us. She started out with the group counseling.
Life keeps killing all my friends.
My name is Ray Rumbelow. I am in a band called Boof. We do like Riot Girl hardcore stuff. The support groups at Foundation 45 are actually great because I get to meet other artists who deal with similar issues. I joined their recovery program online, and at the time, especially during quarantine, I didn't really have any human interaction outside of my household. And it was a really toxic place because we were all using and we were all mentally unstable and none of us had any medication. And this song's about being crazy. I had a psychotic break. I tried to kill myself. And I was drunk and I was doing 120. Like I let go of the wheel, didn't hit anything.
Suicidal ideation.
When I picked music back up, because I had quit for like 4 years.
All my friends.
I do have a song that is super important to me. I'm very, very angry with the current situation as far as like the American medical and mental health system go. And so I have a song that has 16 to 22 names in it. and they're all of people who either committed suicide, OD'd, or couldn't afford medication for something that was completely preventable.
A lot of the creative community does not have access to funds or resources to get the help that they need. So we provide a free service.
Access to health care should not be based on whether you have a job.
And if there was a counselor like Xandra in an organization like this, they would have dropped in here.
You're not just listening to a therapist in a tie. We don't like that kind of therapist. We are your therapist that you would see at a show or at an art event, right? They're sitting there with you and your peers, and you're all talking about ways to grow.
We understand that there's lives on the line.
Over 25% of our attendees have came to 15 to 20 groups. So that means that they're coming once and they're staying.
Don't be afraid to address it. Don't be afraid to check on your friends. It's way better than it being the last time that you ever see them.
But there's been a lot of closure. There's been a lot of growth. By being able to provide a solution for people to stop dying, that brings me just so much relief.
Just think about that. Checking in with someone could potentially save their life. Studies show asking people about their self-harming thoughts can help identify suicidal behaviors. The new 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline has been a safety net for many. Here's an inside look at how it's helping people.
It's okay if you're scared. I'm here to help you, okay?
I absolutely love what's going on currently with 988.
Take some deep breaths with me.
Our calls have doubled since the launch of 988.
Ready?
Here locally.
On my count.
We're excited to see the growth.
1, 2, 3. Deep breath in.
What goes through my mind when taking a call and someone is really going through it, it humbles me and lets me know that, hey, everyone is not in such a good place, and how can I help them?
Thank you for calling Lifeline. My name is Grace. Can I have your name, please?
You don't have to be actively in a crisis to call 988.
Have you been experiencing any thoughts of suicide today?
We're also here to provide resources to those individuals who may have not reached a crisis state at this moment.
As you just heard, 988 is a resource and it is absolutely okay to use it. Remember, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is in crisis, call 988. You can call, text, or chat. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Tom Hanson, CBS News.